and welcome Equinedge coverage of Fairgrounds. And how about them Seahawks? What a win! Win the Super Bowl, stomp the Pats. Not even a close game. Seahawks defense absolutely destroys. We talked about that for weeks and weeks and weeks leading up to this. They were going to be just far too tough, I thought, and they just took over. I mean, the Hawks were just too good, man. I mean, they dominated. Nobody's seen a defense like that, I don't think, all year. A lot of people talked about Houston having the best defense, but I tried to share for weeks. It was all about the NFC and it was all about the Hawks. But we back. No racing last Sunday for Super Bowl. I took the kids to the Super Bowl parade yesterday. That was a good time. I went back and about 10 years ago. My oldest got to go, so he been to both. But oh, Scrat, they stomped those guys, man. Patriots, everybody keep talking. These people keep talking about how the Patriots had a shot, and I don't know. I keep hearing excuses and everything, but I see nobody beating the Hawks, man. Now we roll right into baseball, and I've been talking about the Mariners and the Hawks for weeks and weeks and months, man. Mariners were the best teams in baseball. Only got better than last year. So gonna be fun. We got lots of futures tied to the Hawks and Mariners, so it'll be a fun sweat through the summer. We'll talk about it here. At some point, we'll probably jump back over and cover Gulfstream, but we still have Fairgrounds. But go Hawks. What an amazing win. Fun to see those guys. They had a great time celebrating yesterday. But Fairgrounds race one. I mean, the two should win the race. It's bottom level state bred though. If the 5 and 6 duel with the two, anybody can win this race. I didn't have a huge preference from a horizontal standpoint. I'm gonna play maybe late. That's where my biggest preference went. But I was 2-3-6-1 here. But I don't. I mean, yeah, the two should win, but I didn't see this horse as a lock. I mean, I know it's 80%, but at bottom level, but it's got strong GSR, SOR. Taking a big drop, it should win the race. It should. But I didn't necessarily trust. I think if you're playing Twin Spires tournaments, they do have action today on Fairgrounds. There's a cash game tournament, and then there's a play into the Kentucky Betting Challenge if you're going to play those. My opinion lies late. I'd watch what happens in race 1 and race 2 because Matt Miller always liked to play early. Some of these other guys that play Fairgrounds, they always like to play early. So if you're playing those, watch because the 4 also a player here, but I thought the 6 had a good shot. Dixie Morning has a long shot to upset here. If you're an E user, you can see my analysis here. But there's enough pace, I think, signed on 1-2 or nearly 1-2 back versus 52 at this level for CJ rides. This horse get upset, but I was 6-1-4-8-7. Now I don't have a huge opinion in these early races, but that was race 2. Race 3, nothing strong for me. I didn't necessarily like the 3. It was the second pick, but I was 4-6-8 here. I think the 7 and 1 could surprise. So I'd be spread early other than race 1. I mean, you got a single or spread. Race 4, I think Lucky and Lawless was my top pick, and Matching Funds was my second pick. If I was playing horizontal, I'd try to get through on those two. And maybe even Daily Double out here. This is really where my opinions kind of started. We'll watch the race sim. I didn't like those first 3 races, but I think that, there's some speed here on the turf. It hasn't been winning most of the meet. Speed didn't hold much last year on the Fairgrounds turf either. You can see they're going 8 up here. The rail at 28 feet. I think you want to be somewhat forwardly placed. Lucky and Lawless, I think, sits a dream trip, and I also think Matching Funds will sit a good trip. Skip Forward obviously fits, but I'm trying to, the 6 going to probably go off as the favorite. I like the 1 or 3 to try to win here. You see Lucky and Lawless here, gets back off the rail, have to improve. They come back at this 30K maiden level, ran in a 40 SOR last out. you can improve off that effort. You get a win percent increase from 9 to 42. Big increase. Ben Curtis rides for Eddie Keenley. And the matching funds, Jaleb rides for Block. I thought this was an interesting player, not in the picks, but you get the win percent increase as well from 5 to 16%. And, hasn't run awful in both those races, drops out of maiden special. Jaleb always ride good on the turf, off the pace. You get a good price, probably at 4 or 5 to 1. And then skip forward, obviously, Jose, Joe Sharp off the Fletcher trainer switch. I mean, this horse is going to take a lot of money, but I don't think it's anywhere near a lock. I was 1-3-6, but I like the 1-3. I probably play maybe a pick 6 because it's really cheap today for me because I have a lot of opinions late. I thought in this race, Clearly Majestic might be a single. We'll watch the race sim. But 1-6-8 for me here, one on top. Clearly Majestic, I do think could sit off of this speed. I'm not a fan of Josh G, Deal of Faith, really, or Final Half at all. Custom Cadillac was kind of the other play. But to me, I like the the one on top and then the 6-8, but 1-6 probably coming out of that last race. Really, really, again, slim pick 5 and pick 6. You'll see here. Custom Cadillac wins the race sim, but the win percents are spread out, but Clearly Majestic get Jose, Shane. They ran here last out in a 10-horse field in the state bred 12-5 claimer. First off the drop, it's a Bretland stable homebred. You have a big morning line angle. I think a good trip off of this speed up here. The 1 or 6 Custom Cadillac, the other for Pedroza and DeGuider, who does really well off the claim, 31%. But to me, Clearly Majestic was the top pick. You could double out of race 4 into race 5. Race 6, Prince of Light, I thought would be tough here. I was just 1-3-6. Prince of Light could be tough. It's a maiden optional claim, lifetime. Nobody's won. You have a firster from Cox, who I thought was in the mix a little bit, but just 1-3-6 here. Fairly competitive. The one going to take a lot of money for Walsh and Jose, but I didn't see this horse as a single. I have 3 straight singles in the next 3 races. So if I was to play, let's look at the pick 6. We'll do this real quick because then we'll get through the last few races. But I thought that the 1 could be a single in the last race. I think that here, I even think the 2 could be a single. You're either spreading or, in my opinion, going really narrow in this race. And I thought that the 1 also could be a single here and is really cheap. I don't even think you need to play it that expensive, honestly. We talked about 1-3-6 here. Whoops. And 1-6-8, 1-3 here. 1-3-6. $7 and not even here. I think we said 1-6-8. I don't think you need the 5. It's super cheap. $5.40. That'd be my play. I don't know. I think these last few races to me look fairly straightforward, but I think the 1, obviously fits here, but the Cox firster scares me a little bit. Pedroza rides. He's a go-to for Cox, whether it's here up at Horseshoe, I think could be tough. They're going on the turf. Our GSR, genetic strength rating, we just refined the algorithm, has those 3. But I thought those 3 would be tough there. And then let's talk about the 3 singles. I play a cold pick 3. Emancipation, only 32%. This is a maiden claimer, but this is not a great group. I think there's enough speed. Leading rider Jose rides for Catalano, big off the drop. Hasn't really done anything wrong for Eclipse Thoroughbreds. I just think they're giving up and they just drop into a 15 to hopefully get this horse claimed. Going to be a short price, but I thought looked tough. So that'd be my opinion there in race 4. And then in race 7, in race 8, I think contribution for Cox. This is also a lot of these races I just didn't see them as strong groups, but it's an allowance group, lightly raced. It has a really strong genetic strength rating. I think on the race sim, as I talked about on the turf, there's been speed hasn't really been holding. So I would expect that with speed not holding, I think there's a good opportunity for this 2 horse to just set a dream trip. For Cox, I believe, if I remember right, Jose gonna have a big day. He got a lot of live mounts, in my opinion. But the 8 and 9 were the other players for me. But I just probably single play cheap today. That's my opinion. And the 2 should set a good stocking trip off that speed. You look here, Jose right for Cox. They don't pair up often, only 8 mounts, but drops out of tougher allowance at this same kind of condition. But they get over to the turf and get a 6-point strength of race drop. Should be fine on the genetic strength rating on the turf. Another single there. And then in the last, Sir Mac, big win percent. Erica rides. They're dropping in strength of race. Has run some really good races off the pace. One way back here at Louisiana Downs. But I think finds finally a good spot here. This is just not a great group when we look at the record. They've all won for a lifetime. But I think the one going to be tough there in the last. So, not it to me. I don't think I had one long shot today, which isn't very, usually I'll find one, maybe there in the first few races. I know I talked about a couple horses, but to me, it seemed a little bit formful today. I guess we'll find out. Great weather down there. Should be a great card. If you pick 6, you never know. Play it cheap, play it straightforward. We'll see what happens. All right, on to baseball. Good luck, you all. Pitchers and catchers reporting. Going to be a great baseball season. We got more horse racing at Fairgrounds all week. Got Risen Star this weekend. We'll do coverage there. But good luck. Have fun. Press your opinion. Chat soon.